Hey out there, admins. How we doing today? We've got some fairly important stuff to go over today. It's got to do with lodge leadership training for our officers and for men being in the Moose Legion to be entered in as officers in LCL Web. After training or after elections, you have 60 days for your officers to take lodge leadership training and be qualified to be an officer. They have to have that training every 3 years. So if they've had it before, they're good for 3 years. We have several new officers this year, though, that have never had the training, and they have to get it done. The online version is available again, and it's in the Moose training section. I always advise everybody to get together in a group and work through on laptops together. It makes it a little bit easier. They're always the same questions, they're just in different order. So if you get one wrong, be sure to put down the right answer. You have to get an 80% better to pass, but you can take that test as many times as you need. Also, Henry Carroll is giving a lodge leadership training down in Scottsburg. That's the Scott County Lodge, and that is August 7th on a Saturday at 9 a.m. The class will last a few hours. It's $20 per person for that class. You can get that online by going to the Moose International Training site. Also get his contact information, or I did put it in a previous email last week, and I will add it again this week. You need to either get a hold of him via email or phone to register for that class. Do not wait till the last minute to register for the class. The deadline to register is August 1st. So please register before the deadline. Don't wait till the last minute. The class could be full. That class actually is after the end of July, so there's a situation there. We've already went an extra 60 days, and we know there's been some bumps because of not necessarily COVID, but just the one Moose coming together, new officers, some stuff that lingered over from COVID, some Moose Legion complications getting people in. So we went past the actual deadline. All those officers truly should have been done by the end of July. And Moose International is pushing for this to be done properly. So the 1st of August, I will be going through a list of officers at each lodge, and we will see who's not trained. You'll be getting a phone call from me if you have officers not qualified to be officers. They will get a pledge of compliance. They will have 10 days from when I send them the pledge of compliance to take that test, or they will be removed from their office. Again, Moose International is very serious about that this year. Government agencies, that's a requirement. I know lots of officers, or lots of people who run for office, and they get upset they have to take that training. Why should they? They're a volunteer. It's important for an officer to know how the lodge runs. The first complaint I get from an officer about something going on at the lodge, and they want to complain, and they don't realize what policies and procedures are or how the lodge runs. So maybe the lodge actually wasn't doing something wrong. They were doing it right, and this person has no idea. And vice versa. It happens the other way around too. Sometimes they call wanting to do things that they're not allowed to do. So that's why it's important to go through this training. Officers should have an idea of how the lodge runs, especially if a member comes and asks them a question. They should have somewhat of an idea, again, how operations take place. So again, we'll be looking at August 1st and contacting lodges that don't have officers that don't have proper training. There are also a couple lodges out there that have not put their officers into LCL Web yet. That should have been done a long time ago. That needs to be put in immediately. That way, when they pop up and you put that officer in there, I can see whether they've had the proper training or not. If that position is blank, I don't know who was supposed to be in that position, and I cannot tell whether they have the proper training or not. So that needs to be taken care of also. Last but not leastly on that situation, all men have to be members of the Moose Legion. We still have a few out there that have not joined. Again, we've sent multiple emails out. You can have a mini conferral in the lodge, fill out that mini conferral form, and send it to the Moose Legion Secretariat so they can be entered in as Moose Legionnaires, and then you'll be able to add them into LCL Web. That mini conferral, all that has to take place is that the person being enrolled into the Moose Legion has to watch that YouTube online video, the enrollment video for the Moose Legion, and 2 Moose Legionnaires from your lodge have to sign off saying that yes, that person did watch that enrollment video. Doesn't have to be an officer from the Moose Legion jurisdiction. It doesn't have to be anybody special. Just 2 Moose Legionnaires. They can't be regular members of the lodge. They have to also be Moose Legionnaires of that lodge, or any lodge technically. They have to be Moose Legionnaires to sign off on that paperwork and say that person watched that. Then get that into your Moose Legion secretary as soon as possible. If you've sent that stuff in and you still cannot put your people in as officers, that's when you need to let me know. And I will contact that Moose Legion secretary and say, hey, you're supposed to have paperwork on so-and-so. They should already be entered in. Why have they not been entered in yet? You're holding up the lodge process. That's on me. So you just let me know. Also, dispensations. Lodges are doing a horrible job since the shutdown on getting dispensations. Every time a lodge applies for a dispensation for no matter what it is, or a chapter, to Moose International, I get a copy of that knowing what they're doing. We have a lot of lodges putting themselves at risk because they're not getting dispensations for a myriad of reasons. You guys cannot change bank accounts without it being voted on by the officers, then by the membership, and then getting a dispensation from Moose International. Even if it's for a good reason, because this bank's not been serving us right, we've had lots of trouble with them. There's lots of valid reasons to change that bank, but you've got to have permission to do it. And also the reason why Moose International wants to know why there's a dispensation, if money should come up missing, we need to know what's going on. Because when a bank account is closed, and we've had a problem with this with a few lodges and a few chapters now, there's a process to closing a bank account out. They need to close that bank account down, not write any more checks on it. When they're sure everything's cleared out, then they need to close that bank account, take a cashier's check, open up the new account, and that cashier's check is what the beginning balance would be for the new bank account. So the closing amount from the account being closed to the account being open should be the same number. That way we know that there was a money trail and there was no money missing in between that. That's what's happening. Also, lodges are trying to change their membership meeting days. That's perfectly fine, but you can't do it without it being approved by the board, approved by the membership, and then getting a dispensation for it. That dispensation is just saying, is only acknowledging basically that you guys went through the right process to do it, and we know that you have changed your day. That way, myself, Scott Hart, Regional Manager Daryl O'Brien doesn't look at his paperwork and say so-and-so lodge meets on Tuesday nights and I'm going to go to one of their meetings because I'm in the area, or there's an issue and I need to go there, only to show up and find out that it's not on that night. They've now changed it to Thursday without anybody letting anybody know. So that's the reason why there's a process on that. Also, when it comes to fundraising, 99.9% of the time when you're doing something with the public and taking a public dollar, you need to have a dispensation for a fundraiser, especially if you're using gaming. You've got to let us know those things. You've got to fill out those dispensations. They're fairly easy. I've had a few lodges not doing them and started doing them and then did not realize how easy they are. Sometimes it comes down to wording, and sometimes it gets sent back, but 9 times out of 10, the chief compliant officer, I almost said general governor's office, will contact you back and say, hey, this is wrong. We're not going to allow this because of wording. And 9 times out of 10, that's all it is just wording, and we can fix that problem. But again, you have to get dispensations, and we're going to be a lot tougher on that, especially come after the state convention in the fall, because we're going to be harping on it more then and enforcing that and having discussions on what you need to have dispensations for. So remember, if you're having a fundraiser, whether it be a benefit, whatever, you need to have a dispensation for that. I've had lots of women chapters, go out and have yard sales this year, and they're taking money from the public. They have to have a dispensation for that. So, even though the chapter might be doing that, and it's not a lodge situation, the lodge should be aware of those kind of situations, because if they do something to get themselves in trouble, and the IRS or excise or gaming or whoever should show up, when they're going to inspect the chapter's situation, they're going to check on the lodge too. So we need to make sure there are dispensations for that, because if you get a dispensation for it, then you know you're covered. You're not going to have to pay sales tax, all that kind of good stuff. So if you guys have questions about dispensations, give me a call, give me an email, send me a text. I will let you know what you need to do. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I will be gone this coming Wednesday in 2 days, and I will be gone until the following Tuesday. I'm taking some vacation time, and it's not even a Moose International work job. It's just time off. I will be hard to get a hold of. So if you need to get a hold of somebody, you can always, if it's not a major question, you can always call Rusty Shields, the Assistant Territory Manager for the South. You should have his contact information on the Indiana State Officers paper. If it's something really important, you can get a hold of Northern Territory Manager Mark Benton. He might be able to help you out. If it's an all-out emergency, go ahead and give me a call or a text and give me the 991. It's an emergency thing, but at that point, the lodge needs to be on fire. The police need to be there. Something really serious for you to give me a call for that. As always, I appreciate everything everybody's done, and we're doing a good job. We just need to stay the course. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day. Take care.